Hello there, my name is David and I'm the owner of Mana and Maple. I'm a woodworking channel, but I'm also a TTRPG channel. That's me in the background of this video, and I'm making some dice boxes. It's a mindless job because I've been doing it for so long, so I tend to think about my campaigns while I do this. Something that came to mind while I did this today was the idea of less is more, which got me thinking of how a concept grounded in minimalism could really help others understand what I think is the best way and best approach to homebrewing TTRPG campaigns. Again, my name is David, this is Mana and Maple, and this is the start of a video series that I am calling TTRPG Homebrewing. My first video is on the subject of less is more. Less is more is a common idiom suggesting that simplicity and clarity are often more effective than complexity and excess. This principle applies across various fields like design, writing, and lifestyle choices, emphasizing that removing unnecessary elements can enhance the impact and value of what remains. It was popularized by an architect named Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. What Ludwig was talking about was really a focus on the essential components and the use of functionality over elaborate design. In writing, it tends to mean clear and concise, using simpler sentences that are not full of words that are only found in the thesaurus. When I talk about less is more, I really mean systems you import or use in your game should never be so complex that they effectively double the complexity of the campaign world through those additions. That was a mouthful that took me far too long to say and too many takes to put down on this track. What I mean by any of that is this. Our base game is a 1. Any system we add onto that should not make the total game 2. It will interrupt the flow of the game and bog down sessions where brevity should win out. Players will always make it more complicated than it has to be, so make sure your secondary and tertiary systems are simple to understand. Say you have a base game. In my campaign, it's Dungeons & Dragons 5e. This is my core mechanic. The core mechanic should be the most complex system you have in your homebrew game. It doesn't have to be Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It could be Daggerheart, or it could be Draw Steel. It just needs to be a complete rule set that has a clearly defined pathway to import other games into it. With that being said, Daggerheart's ideology of homebrewing is pretty tight, using good design with a need to keep it simple. Smiley. I would love to go all in on converting my campaign world from 5th edition to Daggerheart, but I think that would be a whole video series, and I haven't quite gotten to that yet. Anyways, I want to have strongholds in my game. There are a lot of rules for strongholds out there. Dungeons & Dragons, the 2024 edition, has a version of strongholds that adheres roughly to the core mechanic called bastions. Bastions are locations that belong to players and have their own specialized turn. Each player is encouraged to make their own map of their bastion, stylized after their class. Temples for clerics, towers for wizards, fighters get something. There are basic facilities that they can have, such as closets or bedrooms, with space needs, gold costs, and time and days to finish each item. Without getting into specialized rooms, this is already at least doubling the crunchiness of the core mechanic. The bastion acts like another player for each player. The player should map out their bastions, keeping in mind space constraints. Each player is responsible for paying the cost of their bastion upgrades, and each upgrade takes time, and knowing what their special rooms do. The DM needs to keep up on what 4 to 6 bastions do, and what each bastion has as special rooms. There are 7 commands players can ask their bastion to do, with a myriad number of ways each individual bastion can complete the task. Some bastions can't get some rooms, and there's a somewhat skewed power balance towards spellcasters, which is absolutely shocking to no one. Yuck. I mean that. Yuck. That seems super tedious. There are some good ideas in that mix, but for the most part, I find bastions to be full of junk and excess rules. MCDM put out a pretty thorough Strongholds and Followers supplement, which was released late 2018. In this, players have the ability to find strongholds that attract followers or hirelings from a randomized table, and gave each player a stronghold action for their strongholds, like players with layers. On its face, it's less complicated than Bastions, but still gives each class an individual place of power, geared towards what MCDM thinks is important for each player class. I think I can do a little bit better than either one of those, and the way that I would do this is with something called a treasury die. The treasury die is an older system that MCDM used in The Chain, which is a great web series centered around the use of 4th edition, and I think people should check it out. The treasury system inside that game revolved around a d6, where for every 1,000 gold you had, the d6 went up by 1. I think that's something that we can work with. With my treasury dice system, I'm going to be using a d10. 10 levels of wealth stratifies the world I have created pretty well. The die goes up when the players complete a quest that gives any two of the following 3: money, influence, or renown. Money just means simple cash rewards from quests, donations from other people or organizations, or outpouring of money from people saved. Influence, as the group gains levels, their power and ability to curry favor increases. The weight of this is reflected through influence. And renown. Some deeds and quests give so much influence is reflected in renown, their ability to get things just by mentioning their names or the name of the group. It will be up to me as the DM to increase this die. The players can spend the treasury die by acquiring new buildings, rooms, or facilities. To help with this, I created this spreadsheet. It is gaudy and cumbersome in the extreme, and overly complicated, and I hate it. But it did allow me to make a system that I liked on the surface. The first change I made was taking away the Bastion actions and turns and making all of it passive. Just by having the facility, room, or building gives a bonus that the group can use. A kitchen allows for better travel rations. A garden gives 1d4 temp HP for all travel rations when the group has a kitchen. A greenhouse increases that temp HP to 1d6. But when the players want to buy a garden, that lowers the treasury die by 1. In fact, whenever they buy any facility, room, or building, the treasury die goes down by at least 1. Why 1? Excellent question. Each level of the treasury system can accommodate more cash flow, so each larger purchase is of equal weight to each smaller purchase of the level below it. Only because level 2 is strapped for cash, so that garden takes a lot of the reserve money, and level 10 has a lot of liquidity, but an airship tower is like getting a private airport and puts a damper on spending. And notice that each player doesn't have their own treasury die, the group does. Each player has their own spending cash, usually gotten from tomb robbing or dungeon crawling, but the money that the group acquires through official questing is for the treasury die system. If, however, a member of the group gets more money than a player should have, say through incredibly good rolls and a high-end deal with a worldwide weapons maker, then that player would get a treasury die for himself. Really, this is to stop the players from buying 1,200 horses or 1,000,000 pewter cups. If I tie up the ludicrous amount of money in buildings and improvements, then in the long run, it may not matter how much money I throw at the party. Now that we know what the treasury die will be used for, when will the players spend the treasury die? In the Bastion system, you use it once every 7 days or so, the Bastion has to be activated. I think that's a little silly, and so I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to use downtime, an amorphous amount of time that I, as the benevolent DM, give them between questing. I tend to start small, 1 to 2 weeks of downtime, which scales as the group levels. Once they break into 10 plus, the downtime may be a month. This downtime is already used in my games to give players a chance to go on individual quick quests, hunting down personal leads, talking to family, researching new technology. It doesn't matter how much time you give them, just that they get that time that isn't spent exploring the world at the pace that I want them to explore it at. This does 2 things in my mind. It lets the players explore the cities in the world that I have created and built at a pace that the players can choose, and let them control how deep they want to be in the lore and the world building side that I have put together. By putting the purchase of a new room or facility in their stronghold to downtime, the players can argue and debate amongst themselves without feeling pressured to get to the next room in the dungeon. The biggest benefit, however, is this. I, as the DM, don't have to make those choices, don't have to force those choices, and I get to have downtime while they argue. So now that they spend the treasury die during downtimes, what do they spend it on? Well, we already know that WotC created some actions, 7 of them actually, so I converted most of those from actions to categories. They are research, crafting, empowerment, harvesting, trade, recruitment, and basic. Research. These rooms allow for spellcasters to gain bonuses, research new spells faster, and possibly summon in extraplanar entities in a stable place. Crafting. These facilities allow you to make things, possibly getting gear, weapons, and armor at a cheaper rate. Empowerment. These rooms give buffs to your defenders and to the adventuring party, possibly using artifacts to give broad bonuses to all of your estate. Harvesting. These mostly outdoor facilities allow for better food and rations, possibly giving heavy amounts of temp HP to travel ration consumption. I'm going to interrupt the video because I found a cool thing that I wanted to show the camera. This is a knot hole in the side of a dice box that I think is going to look really awesome. I love the character of knot holes when added to personal projects. Clarity and wood, for me, is too IKEA and is a little wasteful as well. Anyways, back to the video. Trade. These facilities must be located outside of the stronghold, maybe in a nearby city, or maybe the town that the stronghold is located in. Through these upgrades, you could possibly increase your treasury die by 2 at the end of a quest instead of 1. Recruitment. These mostly outdoor facilities let you recruit defenders, and at higher levels let you recruit and tame flying mounts. Basic. These rooms are the bare bones and allow your stronghold to feel more like a home and less like a place that you squat. There's a lot more to this system, but I think you can see how I took bastions, cut the extra nonsense out, created a system that flows better in the background. Believe it or not, the explanation of the why for this is much, much longer than the actual description I give my players. The rule set for bastions is 21 pages long. My Stronghold system is only 2 pages long, and it comes with 34 short info cards, like and that give primary bonuses as well as synergies with other Stronghold editions. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Maybe subscribe if you want to see more things like this in the same vein. I mean, I intend on continuing to make these videos regardless, but it all helps me and the algorithm understand if this is content that is wanted. Again, my name is David. This was a TTRPG homebrewing video about core mechanics and the idea that things don't need to be so complicated. And on the way out, I just want to say, never stop creating for the games that you love to play.